Um, Alrighty, so we've got just a couple of late stragglers joining on there, so we'll get today underway. As you're aware, today's all about commercial training and understanding a little bit more around SolarEdge and our commercial proposition. So we look at the SolarEdge core range as the start off, because nothing changes when we go out to the commercial range as well. So you see there on your screen, we've got our standard three-phase inverter, which looks identical to our single phase, but you've got our three-phase range, which starts from 5 kilowatts all the way up to 27.5, and that'll partner with our optimizer range. And you can use, in most cases, it's the P350Cs that we're doing on a lot of the commercial installations. The reason that we have our core range is, one, we want to generate more energy. Two, it enables us to have constraint-free design by using our optimizers. And in commercial world, we've got lower operation and maintenance costs, and we'll go through and we'll touch on that today. And our enhanced safety solution. Now, they're the four key selling features of SolarEdge. We've got our full range here in terms of expanding on what our core product is that we bring to the market. So for those who are experiencing SolarEdge for the first time, we've got our online portal, which you see over there in the top right hand corner. To make that work, we've got an RS485 or an Ethernet cable through to the inverter. That's built in as standard. If we want a little bit more insight into what's going on in the property, we do have our mod bus meter, which gives a bit of consumption data and so forth, but it's also critical when we partner up with our battery solution as well. And in the bottom right hand corner, it's some new product that you might not have seen before. This is our home automation range, and with the home automation side of things, that's due to come out very, very soon. All right, so I've just got some feedback here. Andrew, the slides are not appearing on my screen. Quick question for everybody. Is everyone having trouble seeing the screen? Rightio. All right, give me 2 seconds. Let's get this sorted out before we go on too far. Is that better? Yep, there we go. Thanks for the feedback, guys. Sorry, we've had a couple of bit of technical issues in the last couple that we've done here, and looks like we're finally getting our way through it. So again, just going back a little bit. So we've got our inverter and our optimizer here, and our portal, and you can pretty much cover off everything that I was just discussing there in that. So SolarEdge, for those who are experiencing SolarEdge for the first time, or you might have seen us do this presentation, certainly at our training. We're established in 2006. We're a publicly traded company, so anything that you see in today's presentation is verified in our public reports that we provide every 3 months. We also invented the DC optimizer solution. So in terms of our field, we created what we're bringing to the market. We've shipped over 3.8 gigawatts of solar systems, which is over 300,000 or just on 300,000 systems around the world. This number's a little bit low now. We need to update it, but we've done over 15 million optimizers and just on 600,000 inverters. And we've actually applied for a couple more patents, so we're just sitting on 84 patents awarded and just on around 130 additional applications. So a lot of those new patents have come around with the new HD wave, which we'll touch on briefly as well. Just under 700 employees around the world, and we're presented in 13 countries. So what you see here in Australia in our support mechanism is being duplicated in 13 other countries, but installed in just under 100 countries around the world as well. The bottom one, this is my favourite, and the one that I talk about a fair bit. I think it's relevant in commercial more than anything, is that we are the only profitable solar inverter company manufacturing at the moment. So just on last year, it was just under $80 million in profit. So it's averaging $20 million a quarter, and certainly for those who have looked at other solar inverter companies. That's certainly a big swing to what other players are doing in the business. And it's one from a bankability point of view that the banks really like about our company. Couple of awards. 2016 award was for our HD wave inverter, which a lot of you will start to see come out to the market in about the next 6 to 8 weeks here in Australia. So it's certainly a very exciting product. Again, just covering off on the 13 countries, regional service centres, over 13,000 installers, over 220 customers buying direct from s.r.o. Most of them being wholesale distributors around the world. The US, and they like to talk about the US market because one, it's certainly in Resi world one of the largest, but it also gives a bit of an idea about how much volume we're moving into that particular space. And since pretty much you can see there early 2015, we've been the largest residential inverter to supply to the US market space, and that's duplicated in a few other countries throughout Europe as well. So for those fairly new to SolarEdge, we're certainly a fairly large player in a lot of the other countries, and this is backed up in terms of the 2016 data. So we sat number 2 in terms of megawatts shipped around the world, and number 4 in terms of revenue. So a few of those other companies are doing some larger commercial deals, more high dollar value inverters, which drops us down the rank just a little bit. This is the Australian team, so if you haven't met any one of us just yet, this gives you a bit of an idea. A lot of the bottom line is our tech support team, so if you've had the chance to talk to them over the phone, this is what they look like. As you can see, we've rapidly expanded our team here in Australia in the last 18 months. So we know some of you might have dealt with this 3 or 4 years ago, and you might have had 1 or 2 people here in Australia to deal with. As you can see now, we're here to support you in so many ways. So I've just got a question up here. My sound check worked, but I can't hear anything. Is anyone else having trouble hearing? Just quickly. All good. All good. Okay. Yep. Stephen, who's just asked that question, if you have any trouble hearing, I'm not too sure. Maybe log out and log back in. That might help fix the issue for the question point of view. So let us know if there's anything that hopefully that works for you. So here in Australia, our distributors, we've got Cranich, RFI, Green Tech, Rexel and PowerArc, and Sol Distribution as the guys you can buy locally off here, and anyone certainly there to help you out. So the commercial offering, and before I get into this, I just wanted to ask a couple of quick questions. So if you see this pop up on your screen, please answer as quickly as possible because this helps us move on. We have to get everybody answering to move on to the next step. So just wondering, how many commercial systems have you installed? And that should be popping up on your screen right now. We're getting some responses coming through now. Beautiful. All right, almost everyone voted. The 5 or 10 still to go. Give it another 5-10 seconds. All right, great response there. Just for those playing along, so about 80% today have done between 1 to 5, and we're looking at around 20% have done over the 10 plus systems there for those playing along. Sorry, terribly sorry there. We're jumping back off the screen. And just a second question on that. What is the largest commercial solar system that you've installed? All right, almost all done. Beautiful. All right, so for those playing along at home as well, 50% on the call between 15 to 30, 30 odd percent, 30 to 100, and 20% 100 plus, which is a little bit larger than what we had last time, certainly in the 100 plus area. So it's exciting to see quite a few people going in over and above that 100 plus area. So as we go through this, I think we're going to get a couple of questions pop up there. What we'll do at the end of the presentation today is just cover off on those questions. So if you do have any questions through this part, please drop it in the question area, and I'll certainly answer and cover off on this as the presentation ends today, and I will open it up for further questions at that time as well. So the SolarEdge commercial offering, what we're looking at is obviously SolarEdge being the inverter is the significance of the inverter in a commercial installation. So inverters account for roughly 10% of the system cost. The inverters influence up to around 20% of the system cost. Inverters are the brain of the system and manage 100% of the system production. I think that's the critical one when we talk about the commercial side of things, that the inverter is managing 100% of the solar production. The inverters also control operation and maintenance expenses through PV asset management solutions. Therefore, the inverter selection is critical for the long-term financial performance of the PV system, as it can maximise energy production and reduce the lifetime cost. And as you can see on the right-hand side over here, we're covering off on those sectional breakdowns. So modules, inverter, structural BOS and electrical, just to identify where the inverter costs may be shared throughout the time. So what you would get with a traditional inverter and some of the limitations that they have on commercial installations. So they have traditional string inverters find the point of the maximum power output at the string level, not at the individual panel level, preventing panels from reaching their maximum production potential. String design restrictions significantly limit system layout and size. There's no data on module performance, and I was down in Tassie the other day, and one of the questions was asked to me is, how do you identify if there's an issue with a panel, or panel's not performing as well as it should have without our technology or other module level power electronics. It's very difficult to do that. We also have high voltage modules even when the inverter and AC power is off, so it's a safety hazard for installation as well. And we see just in the little design there on the right hand side the power output. Something you'll hear us talk a little bit more about today is module level optimization or module level power electronics. So what this does is creates a new solution to overcome limitations. So we maximize power generation, we're increasing design flexibility, higher resolution of monitoring, and enhanced safety. While the inverter market is growing annually at 11%, the module level power electronics market is estimated to grow by 30% every year until 2020, which means that the likes of SolarEdge and other optimizations and microinverters is certainly growing out there in the commercial market space, which certainly is bucking the trend of general thought. SolarEdge, though, in the module level power electronic market is 60% of the market share already. So in terms of everything you see out there in terms of micros and optimizers, we're controlling a significant market share of what's going on in module level power electronics. So the commercial solution for SolarEdge, what we've got here is our inverter range, and we've got 5 kilowatts to the 27, and bear with me on the 25-year warranty that you see on there, it's actually 20 years. We've just adjusted it recently. So you can get, standard is 12 years all the way up to 20. We've also got then the cloud-based monitoring platform, which comes free for the life of the system. We also then have two options that you can do in commercial. One is that you can buy, obviously, the optimizers through any of the distributors here in Australia, or secondly, you can buy them off an optimized or what we call an embedded panel. And companies like Jinko, Canadian, JA Solar, and a few others around the world are supplying they're modules with SolarEdge optimizers already built in onto the back, which can save you a little bit of time when you're mounting this gear, because it's literally just plugging and playing like you'd normally do with any traditional DC system. So the SolarEdge benefits, and we've touched base on this a couple of times today already. So we've got more energy, so we're increasing the energy yield and faster return on the investment through module level power electronics, or maximum power point tracker. We've also got constraint-free design, maximum space utilisation with the minimum design time. We've got lower operation and maintenance costs for full visibility of system performance and remote troubleshooting. We also have enhanced safety solution. Safety during installation, maintenance, firefighting and other emergencies. And I touched base on this the other day is, when you're going out and installing a module on the roof, by the time you're plugging in your 10th, 11th panel, in the sun, all those panels are live and running very significant high voltage. They're not saying that many people out there have been electrocuted or anything like that by doing this, but it's certainly an increased risk for the installers. And when we go through that, a lot of the installers are quite concerned, touching base on that. So why SolarEdge? I touched base on this in one of our earlier slides around our bankability. So SolarEdge is a financially strong and bankable company. We're profitable. We're publicly traded, so all of our information is available that you can see. And we've got a substantial track record in commercial PV. What I mean by that is in our head office, we have a commercial support team, and I'll touch base on this as the presentation goes through as well, on what sort of services they can provide to you. But they're dealing with around about 150 megawatts of commercial projects every 3 months. So we've got a huge track record in the commercial space, and we're starting to see some of that flow through here in Australia. And for those who are unaware, we've just announced a 1 megawatt solar installation happening down in Tasmania, which is kicking off in the next 3 weeks from an installation point of view, and be finished by the middle of the year. So we're certainly seeing that being shown here in Australia as well. We've got a better bottom line. So the lifetime benefits of SolarEdge solutions offset the slightly higher inverter costs. So the reduced balance of system costs will reduce O&M costs and increase energy production. We've also got improved asset management. System owners enjoy enhanced lifetime system performance, higher system uptime, lower risk mitigation and long-term investment protection, and superior safety. We've also got a complete service suite. So EPCs and installers enjoy enhanced support from SolarEdge's local service team. So we've got pre-sale and post-sale support locally here. We've also got installation and commissioning support locally here. And we've got advanced operation and maintenance tools and capabilities. So before I get into just going on this higher lifetime value, I just want to ask a quick question, and this is the last question for today's presentation, is what design programs do you use? And I've put 4 up there, and if you're not using any of the other ones there, then that's okay. We'll just answer which ones that are there, and if you want, in the questions area, maybe put the design program that you're using elsewhere. And looks like a lot of people are more of a near-map user at the moment, and that's certainly something that we've seen very consistent across all of these presentations that we've done. Almost halfway through in terms of everyone who's voted, so if you haven't had a chance to vote yet, please do. All right, almost there. A few more to go. Okay. Haven't quite got everyone there yet. That's okay. So we're running around about 75% using Nearmap, 10% helioscope, and 16% PV Syst, which is certainly very consistent, and about 5% using Homer. So certainly very consistent in the data that we've seen across all the presentations. So we'll keep moving on. So what we wanted to do today is to show you a case study of a real-life SolarEdge installation versus a traditional string. And a lot of what you see in here is actually what our design support team will be able to put together for you. So if you like what we're about to present to you, again, you've got my email address at the front slide just there. Shoot me an email and we can certainly help you out with any of this. So in the following case study, we'll compare a lifetime value of a 100 kilowatt rooftop system using Solar Edge versus a leading traditional inverter. So this system was located in Sydney. It used 408 JA solar modules, 305 watts. So yeah, it's slightly higher, 124 kilowatts. Module tilt in azimuth was 30 degrees tilt north facing, no shading. And I think this is the critical one, and I think why a lot of you might have jumped on today as well is what we're about to show you is even at north facing, optimal, no shading, Solar Edge still makes sense. And we'll cover off on this. So what the inverters have used is 4 by 25 kilowatt inverters on both systems with P350 optimizers on the Solar Edge systems. So what we're looking at is inverter upfront costs, and I think most would agree that around about 14 cents a watt is a very good price for a traditional string inverter. And with the Solar Edge system, at the moment, most would be able to find around about 22 cents when we're looking at a 100 kilowatt system. We do have a couple of distributors running a promotion at the moment, which will get you in around about the 20 cents per watt mark for 100 kilowatts, which is pretty price competitive as well. But for this one today, we're going to use 22 cents as our guide. So we've got an 8 cents per watt delta, which is not too bad, but it's certainly a little bit difficult to explain that to a customer sometimes, and we want to try and help you overcome that. So some of the benefits that we're looking at with the Solar Edge, so lower balance of system costs, and how we pull that back, and in some cases, and keeping in mind this is depending on the module that you use, up to 60 modules per string. So keeping in mind in our three-phase solutions, we run at a DC total input, not in a voltage window, and that's the big difference with Solar Edge. So we can put 11.25 kilowatts of DC on each string going into the Solar Edge inverter, which is huge compared to what traditional string can do. So we've got fewer strings. We've also got less wiring, combiner boxes, fuses, etc., and up to 50% reduction in balance of systems, and I'll show you that just here. So on this particular site, so 50% save, 56% saving on balance of systems, or what would equate to 2.2 cents per watt DC. So number of strings on a traditional is 24 strings versus Solar Edge at 12. Number of modules per string is 17 versus our 34, and if you do the multiplication on that, 34 by the 305 gets us into that that window of 11.25. We've also got the DC cable length, and this is the big one. It's about 20% cable length of what you'd be using on a traditional string. And when you're saying that to the Sparkies and so forth that are out there installing these jobs, it's a lot less cable for them to run out there, and cable runs are certainly the most painful experience. So in this case, we're looking at balance of system. So the Solar Edge system, 3.9 versus 1.7. So we're pulling the delta back to 5.8. Future compatibility. Be prepared for the future costs than can affect your balance sheet. So lower cost inverter replacement after warranty. The big one here, and I think a lot of businesses are starting to experience this, is module replacements. With Solar Edge, there is no need to keep module stock. Any modules available in the market would fit our optimizers. And what we mean by that, and I think if a lot of you backtracked 5-6 years ago in the solar industry, a very common panel was around about 195 to sort of 210 watts, just before the 250 watts came out in the market space. Certainly very difficult to find those panels now, so that if there's any warranty replacements, people are finding it very hard to fit them into their current systems. With Solar Edge, the optimizer, you'll be able just to pull the panel off, plug it straight back into that optimizer, and in 9 times out of 10 that'll work, and in that 1 time out of 10 we might have to upgrade the size of the optimizer depending on the wattage of the module that's available at that particular time. But certainly in 100% of cases we're able to swap that particular panel out without having any issues of trying to find a 5-year-old panel or a 10-year-old panel, which I think is certainly a massive benefit for businesses. Expansion. So new power optimizers and modules can be utilized in the same string with older modules. So what we mean by that is, years ago we ran with what we called a P250. We've now got in the market a P300 and a P350. All of those solutions will work together. So even if we brought out, let's say, a P400, that will still plug in to your P350. Same as your P404s and your P500s. And in larger than 240 kilowatt systems, we've also run with what we call a dual optimizer with P600s, P700s and P800s. So there's certainly, all of them will plug in and work together. Products are certified as resistant to ammonia corrosion in agricultural areas. We're also sea salt resistant as well, and we've got documentation to support that. So that's straight out of the box, standard in the warranty. If you looked at many other inverter manufacturers, you'll find that they're an exclusion in the warranty and that you'd have to ask a special consideration for the warranty to be valid on these particular sites that you're installing on. So certainly check with your current string supplier to see if that's certainly something that you comply with. Certainly if you're doing regional areas, it's a very, very big sales tool to take into consideration. So the warranty, in this case, we've found that traditional string warranties to get to the 20 years is around about 6 cents a watt. With SolarEdge, to go to 20 years, it's 1.5 cents a watt. So we've got a saving there of 4.5 cents. So we're back to 1.3 cents per watt delta. And keeping in mind, we're always trying to compare apples with apples in this particular case, and we're not even looking at performance here or extra performance at the moment. So we're asset management. Protect your asset with full visibility into system performance and remote troubleshooting for reduced operation and maintenance costs. Monitoring at the module level, free for the lifetime. Fault detection pinpoint on virtual site map. Automatic alerts on system issues. It's something that we've recently brought out as well as an additional feature with our inverters is also arc fault detection as well, which is something that's becoming very prevalent in many countries. And certainly standard in countries like the US and through a number of countries in Europe. I think that's something that we'll see in time over here in Australia is having arc fault detection. So if there's anything issue going on site, it'll automatically shut the system down. Reduce operation and maintenance costs, alerts for modules and inverters underperformance. Know before you go. So identifying underperforming panels using charts to analyze performance. Schedule maintenance according to problem severity and effect on system performance. So problem severity is certainly one that we're touching on probably for the first time and changing people's mindsets a little bit. So if you have, let's say, an extreme case where your optimizer has failed and you've got 400 panels on site, your other 399 optimizers are still working. So it's not critical, it's not meltdown. Where the system is all of a sudden stopped working. It might be something that you can go to site 3 months later and rectify the issue. It's not a critical issue for the homeowner or the business. Fewer trips to site, less time spent on site diagnosing issues. So if we had the 400 panels on site, we're not picking up each panel in that particular string and trying to identify if there is a particular issue with the panel. So increase system availability. We can identify stuff like bypass diode issues, issue pinpoint to the module. Installer can be proactively provided service reports at his convenience. Quick and easily resolution will generate more energy for the homeowner with system lifetime. As you can see, this is one of the cases that we've seen in terms of bypass diode failing. And it's a little bit more common than what most people are certainly seeing in installations. It's we're picking it up more and more often these days with bypass issues. And I did an installation for a company the other day, and within 2 weeks of installing said modules, we had 2 out of 20 modules with blown bypass diodes. So not ideal, but we sent that report through to the manufacturer and they honoured the warranty straight away. We'll touch base on this quickly. I think this is something that we can certainly have a chat, offline or later about, just to explore more of this PID. I know there's panels out there that have preventative maintenance for PID, but in this particular case, we can identify this through our reporting tool as well. And we have had a case, Adrian Hawke, who you might have met in our training sessions. He's identified 3 or 4 sites out in WA where he's been able to pick up and detect PID and send that through to the module manufacturers and get warranty claims on this as well. So operation and maintenance contract structure. So long-term operation and maintenance contracts usually guarantee system performance, system availability, and in some cases, operation and maintenance contracts cost up to 1 to 2% of the system's initial cost. So in this particular breakdown here, we've looked at corrective maintenance, overhead, monitoring and reporting, and preventive maintenance. So it's going out to site, having a look at the isolators and so forth, an inverter, and making sure cables all up to speed. So we've got monitoring and built-in hardware and software, so we're reducing the cost there. Preventative maintenance. We don't have to go to site as often, so we can remote inspect. We've got fewer strings, so we're spending less time on site and inspecting our strings. We've got corrective maintenance, so pinpoint alerts, advanced troubleshooting, safer maintenance, because we can return our system off to 1 volt DC. So the total breakdown, if we looked at the savings here, is around about 20% on a standard installation. SolarEdge enables 15 to 25% saving on annual operation and maintenance costs. In this particular case study, we're only assuming 5% saving. So very, very low and very conservative. And it's something that we're always trying to do when we're providing this data, is to be very conservative. So in operation and maintenance costs, DC 12.5 cents per watt, in SolarEdge 11.8. So we've got a 0.6 cents of a watt delta in this particular case here. So 36 versus 37. Again, we're just slightly higher, but we haven't even touched on performance here. Higher lifetime value, reducing costs, increasing revenue, mitigating risks. Power optimizers enable installation of modules in partially shaded areas, strings of uneven lengths, strings in multiple orientations and different roof facets. We have a maximum power point tracker per module. Each module produces maximum power independently of each other. Underperforming modules do not affect the production of each string. Module mismatch, and this is something that design programs like PV-Syst have gone in and done the work in terms of module mismatch and how this actually affects solar systems. And they've done a number of testings to verify the data. So the SolarEdge solution minimises power losses, optimising power production per panel, alerting and pinpointing underperforming. So with PV-Syst, they do two calculations: energy estimate for year 1 and energy estimate for year 20. In this particular case, on this particular site in Sydney, the traditional inverter would provide 188.7 megawatt hours versus the SolarEdge system at 193.2. That's 2.3% extra in performance. And this is purely module mismatch alone, nothing else taken into consideration. At year 20, that grows out to 5.9% extra performance. We look at that as increased revenue of 146.6 megawatt hours. In this particular case, it's almost a whole year extra performance being provided from the SolarEdge system. Assuming that the customer in Australia had a standard electricity rate of 18 cents a kilowatt hour for this particular system, that's providing to them an additional 12.4 cents per watt extra power. Okay, so you multiply that over the system times 100 kilowatts, that's significant extra revenue coming back into the customer's pocket. So in this particular case, we go from being 37 cents a watt down to 25 cents a watt. We're now 11 cents a watt cheaper over the lifetime of the system. Now, in most cases, we'll put that in front of any accountant and they look at the dollars returned into their particular pocket. And for this, it's a much smarter investment from them. So the higher cost of the SolarEdge inverter solution is offset by the many benefits it provides over the system lifetime. You can take a screenshot of this if you like, but as I said, you will get access to this PowerPoint presentation today in today's recording, so we'll send that out to you after today. But just breaking down the numbers there just to show you where the extra gains are. So protect your investment. Okay, what we're trying to do is future-proof yourself. So mitigate mismatch and aging losses, protect against unpredictable environment and obstruction changes. Defective modules can be replaced with any modules available in the market, not the same one. So if it's a 250, it doesn't have to be replaced with a 250. It can be a 300, and the system will still work fine. If anything, they'll get a little bit of extra performance out of the system. The monitoring and alerts enable real-time detection and fast response. So for those who have used our product before, we can send out email alerts to see if there's any issues on site. We got safer installation and maintenance. So remote monitoring instead of diagnostics work at dangerous heights. Safe DC, no high voltage DC during installation or maintenance. Power optimizers and DC cables automatically shut down when the inverter is off or disconnected. SolarEdge inverters comply with the UL 1699B arc detection standard design to mitigate some of the arc faults that may pose any risk of fire. And that's what we were talking about before with our arc fault detection. So our service seat. So what can we supply to you as a company in terms of service support for your next commercial project? So we have our upfront project and design and pre-sale. So any design that you're looking at doing, we use PV-Syst as our design program. So if you do have a 30, 50, 100, 500 kilowatt project that you're looking at using, we can do a full design for you. We can provide single line diagrams, full design optimization, LCOE, which is levelized cost of electricity, or ROI analysts for you as well. That can all be done. It takes us about 7 to 10 business days to get that done, because keeping in mind these guys are looking at about 150 megawatts of projects every quarter. So there's certainly a lot on their plate, but if it needs to be done quicker, we can always ask them to try and turn it around more promptly. We got project execution support. So design validation, hands-on training, installation checklists, but more so on-site support. So Andrew Caltrone, who you saw in the presentation earlier in the slide, he's based here in Melbourne, and he can certainly go out to any installation that you want to do, whether it be a small residential or a large commercial. He is here to help ensure that your guys, your installers, are doing everything right and making sure the system is up and running the way it should be the day that you walk away from installation. So we do automatic commissioning reports as well. After that, and it's all been installed, is we've got our operation and maintenance support, and we've touched base on this a fair bit today as well, but full fleet management, performance monitoring, module level analysts, remote troubleshooting, and automatic reporting. Put some installations on here in Australia. Now, obviously, the 40 kilowatts is not one of our largest ones, but it's one based out in WA that's been recently completed. We've also got one in Moorabbin at the airport, 100 kilowatts, 100 kilowatts in Queensland, and a couple of our larger projects installed to date. So 257 at Charles Darwin University. We've got a 650 kilowatts at Pines, Eleanor, in a shopping car park centre. So certainly some large projects. We'll skip over that, and we'll finish up here and say thank you for joining. And we're going to jump into some questions now. And I'm just going to bring up the question tab here. And scroll through and see what we've got, and please feel free to ask any questions that you might have. All right, what I might do is I'm just going to jump back to the front screen because we didn't see that at the start. So just bear with me a sec, and we'll scroll all the way through to bring that up to there. So if you need my email address, it's there for you. So there you go. You should be able to see that now, so that we can you can write down my email and email me if you have any questions. First question: should I be? Oh no, that's the PowerPoint. Sorry, that was the early technical issues that we had there. First question, is SolarEdge compatible with the Powerwall 2? Yes, we're certainly compatible with the Powerwall 2. At the moment, our education from Tesla is that they're only bringing out the AC coupled solution, which will still work with our range. We're being told it may be a couple of years before they relaunch the DC to DC option. However, when they do, we'll certainly be ready to go depending on what specifications they might have at that particular stage. But at the moment, we're being told that Australia, I think, is the only country they're not going to have the DC to DC out, and that I'm pretty certain that the other countries around the world will still be having the DC to DC available for them, and we'll certainly work with them. So getting some good feedback there. Can we restrict access to module level monitoring to the customer? Yes, we can. We certainly can. So the standard package a customer gets is just a kiosk view, or what we'd say the homeowner dash view. So all they would see is a holistic system working. They wouldn't see any panel level, and you can open that up free of charge. But it's you as the installer would have to do that and provide the customer access to that. Where have you included the extra cost of the optimizers? I'm assuming this is going back into the commercial part where there were 22 cents. So the 22 cents a watt was inclusive of the optimizer cost for the inverters and the optimizer. Yes, we can get a copy of the presentation when we're done. That's not a problem. We'll send that out hopefully today. If not, it will be tomorrow. If building is greater than 100 kilowatts, would SE monitoring be sufficient for the LCG reporting purposes? We're working through that. Our accuracy of the data is certainly there. There's a few extra tick of the boxes that we need to comply with, and certainly it's something that we're working through. So we'll have an answer for you soon on that. Do we have an end user facing presentation? Not something like this, but we're working on certainly some brochures that would help with that. So the presentation that we see today, we do have that in a fairly lengthy brochure, but certainly nothing in an online or anything like this. We're also more than happy to come to site if you need to talk through the SolarEdge product. So if there's any major customer you want to do, if not, we'll certainly work on getting that available to you shortly. Are you able to provide access to the live site with monitoring and metering that we can show the customers? So when you log into the system, onto the monitoring portal, there are around about 7 or 8 demo sites that you'll be able to view and show customers. Or once you get your own database built up of installations, you may choose to show customers, what you've done previously. But yeah, we can certainly help with that. Are you still required to install rooftop isolators with SafeDC? Yes, we are. That's the part of the installation guidelines that we have to comply with. It's unfortunate, but I know there's a lot of conversations around rooftop isolations, and they are considering that they may remove this altogether. Which solar panels are you using? Is SI solar panels or CSI or another? So we're compatible with any solar panel out there. So whether it be mono, poly, sun power, thin film, SIGs, whatever module you can think of, we have an optimizer that will work with that. What is the process with design support and PV sys via SolarEdge team? So what we can do is, if you send me an email, I can shoot you back a document that you need to fill out with a rough design that you've done, and we send that through to the design team, and then within sort of 7 days, if you need it quicker than that, maybe 3 to 5, let us know. We can always put pressure on them to get that up and running. So yeah, send that through. We can help you out there. Is there an s.r.o inverter is the s.r.o inverter irrelevant with Powerwall 2 with EPS? So Powerwall 2 AC coupled, it's certainly, from our understanding, duplicating what you're doing on site, because the Powerwall 2 AC coupled, I believe, is battery backup as well. In terms of that, so you may be duplicating the process there on that particular installation by having our extra backup inverter on there as well. I probably wouldn't recommend. I'd just probably use a straight solar inverter if you're powering and partnering with that. How do you calculate the VOC of a string to meet the AS5033? So on that particular one, there's 2 ways of doing it, and I think Adrian in the training is done a couple of different ways, but we're always using the VOC of the inverter to partner in with that. So it's 350 volts because it's a fixed string voltage on that particular one. There is a train of thought, however, because we are 1 volt DC with the safety, that it will, if you've got 20 panels, you could technically put 20 volts on there and it'd still be sufficient to meet the guidelines. But what I'd probably suggest there, George, is that give us a call and we'll put you in touch with Adrian, and he'll work through what some of your issues that you may have with that. But generally speaking, it's 350 volts is your VOC. Yep, Jared, happy to give you a call later today. That's not a problem. How do you find the resistance of customers comparing initial upfront cost of installation, comparing with the lifetime ROI, as most of the most look at short-term ROI within that individual's employment period or contract, etc., and want to spend less upfront costs? It's a great question, and it's one that what we're presenting today is not valid to 100% of customers, because there are some customers that are looking at upfront cost as being their only consideration. They're not even considering ROI. So when we look at LCOE, or levelized cost of electricity, it will actually show you that the ROI is not necessarily, sorry, that's not the right word that I'm looking for. The ROI is generally either the same or a little bit shorter with SolarEdge, and that's due to our performance game. So if the customer's looking at ROI, we should be able to win that argument 9 times out of 10. It's the upfront cost argument that is certainly the challenging one, and what we're looking at is certainly taking extra consideration into the upfront cost of a number of factors. And the start of that presentation around balance of system, it's not always comparable for every company because they use different installers and so forth. However, take that into consideration when you're looking at it. It's inverter cost is one of the considerations. The second one is balance of system. And then we're looking at other areas like warranty and so forth, and operation and maintenance. Once we break that all down, we're actually not too far off where it would be. So, Anthony, let's reach out to us, Anthony, and we'll have a chat to more about what we can do on that particular one. But 3 to 4 out of 10 customers are never going to consider spending extra money, and we understand that. And realistically, they're probably not going to be the type of customer that's looking at product reliability as being a key focus for them either. When do you think the s.r.o export will be a part of the inverter? It's a great question. I don't know if it's something that will ever be just generically a part of it, and the reason being is that you still have to have a monitoring around the main supply and the solar supply and providing the brains of that all together. So there's been a train of thought sometimes to put the Modbus meter into the inverter, but then you still have to run the CTs around the system to do that. So it could be a little while off before they choose to do that, but there'd have to be a change of thought from the network authorities to allow that, I'd have to say. So beautiful. I'm assuming that's a question, is compatibility with three-phase batteries. So three-phase is on the radar for us big time this year. We don't have an exact release date at the moment, but we're targeting Q4 2017 as our release date for three-phase battery this year. So it'd be nice to have it right now, but we are working on a couple of different concepts with our battery solution. Three-phase is one of them. We're also working on 48-volt solution as well. So currently we're obviously working with the Teslas and the power and the LG Chems at the 400s. We're also soon to announce a couple of other new players to that market space as well, which is pretty exciting. So yeah, so I'd say give it another 6 to 9 months and we would have a three-phase battery solution available. Alrighty, I think we've gone through all the questions there, and I've seen a couple of emails pop up. So for those who have emailed me, thank you very much. I'll go through them today for you. But all in all, if you have any more questions that you think about after today, let me know. We've got one last one. Can we connect a gateway without inverters? Sorry, Jay, can you expand on that to a little bit more? Are you talking about the CCG? If it's a CCG, we can certainly connect that without any inverters, and we're actually working on a little bit of a sales sales strategy around that this particular quarter, and we think that's certainly very valuable. So watch this space, Jay. We'll certainly have something coming out. I'll give it about 3 or 4 weeks, and we'll have a little promo on that. So yeah, certainly we'll be able to do that for you. Apart from that, if there's no more questions, I might wrap it up there and say thank you kindly for everybody taking the time out today. We do appreciate everyone who's stepped away from their day-to-day operations to come and join us. We really appreciate it, and I hope you've got a lot out of this morning. And yeah, shoot me an email if you've got any further questions. If not, we look forward to catching up with you at one of our future events. So thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.